We were able to do in that office 1.4 million with 3 rooms. That's it. If you bring somebody in and you really educate them, educate to where they know more than anybody else, they're going to go tell somebody else. And whether they buy from you or not, somebody else that they told about you and your service and your education is going to come in and buy from you. Welcome to the Spinoso Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Spinoso. My experience and expertise is in scaling all types of medical businesses to 7, 8, and 9 figures. And I'm sharing my journey to having multiple 8-figure companies and someday, hopefully, enjoying a 9-figure exit. This isn't a podcast telling you you should do this. I'm just telling you how I did this, and I hope that helps you. I want to help you build your business, take ownership of your life, and become a better leader at home and at work. And guys, I'd love to connect with you, especially if you're a medical entrepreneur. I have free courses available to help you scale your medical business. Check those out at dralexspinoso.com/courses. That is dralexspinoso.com/courses. I also invite you to connect with me on Instagram at Dr. Alex Spinoso, LinkedIn at the same, and every other platform, YouTube, etc. I am always Dr. Alex Spinoso. Thanks for listening.
What we're going to be talking about today to officially kick off this hot seat every single month, every few weeks, aside from just the workshops and masterclasses, we try to have a hot seat session to bring in from the trenches real time of what's working, who are doing some amazing, some incredible things, some things worth learning from. And about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, I met this gentleman. I think it was in a Facebook group. We were just chatting. And the first time we talked, we weren't even talking about his practice. We were talking about actually him and his partner, Brett, a different business opportunity that they were brainstorming, and they just wanted to get my opinion on it. But since we connected, I've followed the work that he's been doing, both directly and indirectly. His work has grown in terms of like the team that he manages and the size of his enterprise. And I've also gotten an inside look at just the way that he tells stories, but he connects with people, he supports, he's a family individual. And so when I think about the transition that so many of you are going into, whether you're nurse practitioner, RN, aesthetic injector, and you're making that transition into a business owner or a CEO, I know it's a challenging transition with time or with the resources that may or may not seem limited. And even knowing how to actually step it up on the mindset or knowing the right tools. And so I wanted to bring forward none other than Dr. Alex Spinoso from Gensis Lifestyle Medicine, because today we're going to be talking about, although he's taken this practice and the entire organization from 0 to 8 figures in somewhere between 16 and 19 months, something crazy like that. We're going to be talking about and narrowing in on the path from going from startup to scaling to consistency into 7 figures. And what's required of you, what are the things that you should be focusing in on, and a lot of the tacticals that you can bring to the stage. So keep your questions in your mind, write them down. Periodically, I want you to drop them in the chat to share some of the realizations or some of the learnings. But Dr. Alex, it's a pleasure to have you in this room with us and sharing you with our people. How are you doing, my man?
Thanks, Malachi. I appreciate you, man.
So a lot of these people don't know you as well as I do.
Okay.
Give us a bit of a backstory, whether you want to go to the business side, the doctor side, just like it's all you from here.
I'll make it really short. So I'm Dr. Spinoso. I graduated residency 2016, started working for California prisons. For about 3 years, I was in a general population yard, and then working for somebody else, plus working for the government at the same time, pretty much made me want to kill myself. So I was like, I'm out of here. I got to do something myself. Ended up actually meeting my business partner, as Malachi said, Brent, in a mastermind. Much like this, brainstorming, just started talking with other people in the group, met him. We ended up being business partners. We started our first clinic in August of 2019. Since then, we've grown from the single clinic to now 19 locations across the country, all different types of states. We went from 0 to 7 figures in 8 months and 0 to 8 figures in 16 months. So we've been expanding. Now we're running in the B2B world. We own our own compounding pharmacy, our own CRM, our own PRP company. So kind of have expanded from there, but I'm here to answer kind of all your questions. I've been through it all. I've lived in, out of garbage bags and in really crappy places, and now live in better places. So I've been through, from A to Z. So whatever I can do to provide you guys value, I'm here for.
I love that. So, Dr. Alex, I want to go to the beginning stages of Genesis, because you have
Hmm.
experience not just in brick and mortar locations, but even telehealth.
Yep.
Take us back to when you all decided, and we were like, of the 18, where exactly was the first location actually?
It was in Las Vegas.
Okay, so Las Vegas, you decided to open this location. Like,
Hmm.
you hadn't had a physical practice before. What was that like in the transition? What were the things that you all were planning for?
So the biggest thing was actually moving. So I lived in Southern California, Palm Springs area, and the first thing we had to do was find a state that was friendly for business. Nevada was the closest state for that. That's why I actually decided to move with my wife, and actually my first employee, who was an MA and a single mother that I worked with at one of our local urgent cares, moved them out. We all lived in the actually same house that we rented in Henderson, and really the valuable lessons that I learned from that was start small and as small as you possibly can, because what we ended up finding was a chiropractic office that we can share office space with. We had 2 rooms and we shared rent with them, and it was great because they could cross-reference or cross-refer patients to us. We could cross-refer patients to them. And the good thing is that we weren't the same. So it wasn't like partnering with an NP or an MD or anybody else, so
Right.
that we couldn't kind of steal each other's patients. It was like, okay,
Right.
you have your professional practice, we have our professional practice, and you don't need these rooms. We can utilize these, and our overhead was much, much lower because of that.
So was that just a matter of like looking at different practices and calling them up to see if they would even be open to this idea, or how'd you even stumble upon that?
Absolutely. Well, a couple different ways to look for offices. One is LoopNet, if you haven't heard of it. So LoopNet. You can find all types of real estate everywhere in the United States, whether it's locations for sale, locations for rent, subletting, different things like that. We also just called some local brokers that we knew, or I didn't know any local brokers, so I called a friend who lived in Las Vegas and said, "Hey, do you have a broker or a friend or somebody who sold your house or anybody like that?" All those real estate agents can find somebody in the commercial space who's going to be able to hook you up with someone who could look for these spaces. And you say, "Hey, I'm looking for a small space just to rent to start up my business," or if you're looking for a second location or third location now, we do the same thing. Essentially, look for a second gen space, things that we don't have to do a full build out, et cetera, because it's going to be cheaper. You're going to get into those areas faster. And usually the landlords, especially in the medical world, will give you some sort of TI, which is tenant improvement, to fix up the floors or put a wall in or something like that for your office.
Got it. So you're in the space in Vegas.
Hmm.
It's not quite yours yet, but you're leveraging the connections, being adjacent to a business owner that serves essentially the same market. How long were you all there in terms of timeline, and then in terms of monthly recurring revenue in the practice?
So the office was there we didn't move to a new office in 2000 until 2021. And by that time, we already had like 6 or 7 other offices. So just because we were doing well doesn't mean that we moved. We wanted to make sure that we were literally busting at the seams before we moved. Because studies show that even if you move across the street, you will lose about 10% of your patients because they're just lazy. We all have this, like, once we start going to a place and we love a person and they move across the street, we're like, I don't know if I want to go. Like muscle memory. We don't want to,
Yeah.
we don't want to have decision making. So studies did
That's so
show that you
true.
lose about 10% no matter what. So we wanted to make sure that that was really busting at the seams before you move. And it's the same thing in businesses that we do now, is that we make sure that our volume is busting at the seams before we open extra hours, extra days, move a clinic, etc. So unless you are open 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, and busting at the seams, there's no reason to move to a bigger space at all.
I
And
love that.
we were able to do in that office, 1.4 million with 3 rooms. That's it. The space was 1,600 square feet. So we had 3 rooms inside, 1,600 square feet, and he had the other 3 rooms. So it was essentially split in half. So we had 800 square feet, 3 little tiny rooms, and a little tiny med room where you could just enough to count pills and save some charts. But that was it. You don't really need a big space, and a lot of people get into getting a big space, spending all the money to do it, make it super nice and everything. If you have a decent looking space and you provide ridiculous customer service, I mean, we've all been to that hole in the wall that might have some cockroaches in your food, but you're like, damn, this food is fucking good.
Yeah.
Good. I will come back to this place over and over because it's the service. And people are used to just crap service when they go to a medical field, any medical clinic. I mean, we know you go to the doctor, we're going to wait there like 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half, unless you have a concierge doc, but you pay for that and you know that they're going to provide a higher customer service. It's the same in your field. If you provide a super high customer service, you don't have to have marble floors and gold-plated hallways. You don't have to have that.
So just to be clear on this, you all started small, but instead of when you got to a constraint, you look for a build out, you build your own location, you just replicated the exact same thing in other units until it was like a no-brainer, till virtually you were losing money by not having your own place.
100%. That's exactly what we did. So we replicated that model over and over and over the first 5 or 6 locations. And again, started small, expanded. We don't have a single office in our fleet of 19 locations that's over 2,000 square feet. The smallest one we have is 1,200 square feet. And just starting out before, I mean, the smallest one we have, 1,200 square feet, was obviously came after that first office. That first office was 800 square feet. So we really do a lot and a lot of services in a very small area. Now, we don't have a large bullpen or anything like that for PT. Nobody has their own office. None of my providers have their own offices, et cetera. It's like we utilize every single desk, nook, and cranny in the offices, but it increases your net per square foot and keeps your rent as low as possible.
This is so good. Okay. So this completely changes like my question dynamic, because this is such a different way of doing things. You typically see people when they get to a level of profitability, the first thought that they have is, I need to do a build out, or I need to have a space that's entirely my own. So then I want to fast forward this question.
Mm-hmm.
When we think about you going from 0 in that startup space to a space where at this point you're doing 1 million plus,
Mm-hmm.
What would you say were the different phases in making that transition? Like, essentially to have a straight line to this, what would you say there are different levels, different skill sets, different tactic strategies? Like, what were the different rungs that you had to cross essentially to make it past that point?
Well, it's really running your business by the numbers, and we kind of talked to that at the beginning. And I know you and part of your training and a big part of your group is making sure that you're getting higher level of value by creating packages and piecing together deal stacking to create a higher net service. And it's really working from the end. So if you take $1 million, and I'm going to plug on my calculator here because they told me that I'd never have a calculator growing up, but now I got one.
Yeah, but you're using it right now.
So if I take $1 million, and Malachi, on average, what is the average package that you guys have? It's like 3,000 to 5,000.
So the average would be about 2,400.
2,400. Okay.
Yeah.
And I divide that by 2,400, and then I divide that by 12. Divided by 12 is 34 packages. So I got to sell 34 packages a month, roughly, total, to get to my goal. And then I just divide that by, I don't know, let's say our clinics are open average 3.5 days a week, 3.5. So every day I roughly got to sell 9.9. Some days I'm going to sell less, some days I'm going to sell more. So let's just make that 10 packages at that lowest price. Now, you can always deal stack, you can always do everything like that. However, what we think about is we take that million and we say, okay, our goal is 10 a day. How do we get 10 a day? What's my close rate? If my close rate is 30%, then I have to do 30 consults a day in order to sell 10 people, right? However, we also take into account what nobody does is stickiness. making sure you are keeping patients in your system. Allergan did a huge study years and years ago, pulling data from every single one of their clinics of people who just started Botox with a new provider. And they showed that it took them 3 times of visiting that provider in order for them to actually open their wallets and spend tens of thousands of dollars on fillers, higher end services, etc. 3 times. That's 9 months, because if you think about it, Botox is 3 months in between each service. Yeah. And roughly 30 minutes meeting each time. So an hour and a half total time, visiting 3 times, 9 months for them to start opening their wallet. So you guys have to start thinking in terms of LTV, long-term value for your client, because the value isn't just the first time that they buy a package.
Right.
The value of your business and of your patient is, how can I keep this patient coming back time and time again? Because it might be 9 or it might be 10 packages that I have to sell a month 1. But if I keep 50% of my clients and they buy, let's say, something for $250 or $500, then that number from 10 drops to 8 packages the next month, because I got 5 people with recurring billing. Then 10 drops to 3.5 packages the next month, because I got 7 people in recurring billing. And then that drops to 0, and recurring billing covers your nut to hit $1 million the next month. So it's all about making sure that not only are you selling that first package using what Malachi is using and the sales tactics and everything that he teaches you, which is vital, but also making sure you remember, hey, this person is a long-term patient. What we do does not cure anything. We can't say we cure anything in our practice. They have long-term problems, hormone issues, female and male sex issues, weight loss issues. These are all people that are going to, anxiety, depression issues. These are all people who are going to be fighting demons like we're fighting every single day for the rest of their lives. So the longer that you can keep them up and support them and keep them coming back, the more money that you're going to make, but the more lives you're going to change, because they're going to be like, well, I love to come here. I love to see, Crystal or Shelly or, Chris or Elaine. I love them. I'm going to go back and continue to see them and buy something that they have just so I could visit with them and bring
Just for
other
the
people.
connection.
Yeah, and bring other people to them.
So when you're in that space of, you already identified, okay, what that revenue goal is, whether it's 100 in that first year, or even get into a space where you want to do 500, 600,000 in that year, and eventually at some point go there to a month, right? The first step is always that first 5-figure month, that 10,000. Before we can think about and complicate the rest of the process there, how do you all think about and navigate getting the first amount of people into the business to break that first barrier of 8,000, 10,000 in a consistent basis, at least to ultimately make that your floor?
Right. So let's go back to when I was 15 and I tried to quit school. I tried to quit college. I went to Dartmouth and I came home.
You tried to quit Dartmouth?
I tried to quit Dartmouth. I didn't know Dartmouth existed before I went, by the way. So I was just like, whatever, this school. I went for soccer. That's it.
Okay.
But going back, I came home during the summer and I wanted to buy a motorcycle. And my parents were like, okay, you could get a summer job and buy a motorcycle if you can make enough money. And I wanted like a custom chopper. So it was like $80,000 for a stupid motorcycle. Looking back now, it was a dumb decision. But I went and sold what's called rainbow vacuums. And for those that don't know, rainbow vacuums are like the Antichrist of Kirby. They're like, those two like go at each other. Like, it's this cool vacuum. And I love the thing. The thing was freaking, I thought it was the coolest thing on earth. And I sold the shit out of those rainbow vacuums to anybody and everyone that I can talk to. And I think business owners miss that, is that you have, I get it, the friends and a family. Yes, you can start there. However, you can be reaching out to all the businesses in a 10-mile radius around you. Walk in there, meet with people. Say, hey, how you doing? I'm so-and-so. I own this medical practice. We do this, this, and this. I'd love to get you in for a free B12 shot. However I can help you. Anybody you give this card to or these shots to, these things to, will get you a free B12 shot. People love free shit. And if it's within 10 miles, they're going to come see you for something. Grassroots, period. knocking doors, knocking people's doors on businesses, creating what's called power partners or strategic partners with businesses. Look in a 10-mile radius of every single, let's say you do weight loss, every single gym in a 10-mile radius, go and find all the gym owners and all the gym trainers. Set up an appointment with them. Hey, I'd love to create some sort of strategic relationship together. You send me patients, I'll send you, patients. We'll work together. We can trade back and forth. Old school trading and helping each other's businesses grow is going to be just extremely valuable. Do it with your competition. If you know you do aesthetics heavy and you've got a weight loss clinic that does zero freaking aesthetics, at the beginning, go say, hey, I'll give you a little cut of every single aesthetics patient that comes in, or it's called a marketing expense, by the way. Can't give them no fee splitting. That's illegal. Marketing expense. I'll give you a marketing expense for the patients that you send my way. I'll send you patients because I don't do weight loss now until you do it, and then you just stop referring them patients. But at the beginning, strategic partnerships, working on each other's shoulders and helping each other's businesses out. No business owner I've ever said no to that has come to me and said, hey, I'll send you patients if you could send me patients. Period. I mean, because that's free marketing. You paid $0 for that. And in the end, you just got a free patient. So doing a lot of those strategic partnerships, going around in grassroots, meeting all the business owners in the area, talking to them. And then once you start getting patients in and really taking care of them, you only need about 2 or 3 patients that just sing your praises in order for them to tell 10 other people each. And that's called the loyalty circle. If you bring somebody in and you really educate them, educate to where they know more than anybody else, they know more than anyone else about that service, they're going to go tell somebody else. And whether they buy from you or not, and if they buy from you, great, but somebody else that they told about you and your service and your education is going to come in and buy from you.
So Alex, this is so good because I feel like you're leading into that 20 and 30K like spectrum of actionable items. But just to recap for that 10K, essentially a lot of this is like just it's the grind. It really is no other way to put it. It's the methodical grind of being strategic and really just sales and just volume and getting up to that point.
In a really bad way I used to say it. Sorry to cut you off, but a bad way I used to say, I want to make this comment. My friend used to say, you got to be a crackhead. Like a crackhead wakes up every day only focused on what they got to do to get crack by the end of the day. Exactly. And it's the same thing that you got to do in your business. You wake up and you go, okay, what do I got to do today to hit 10K? And then go do it one step at a time, just like a crackhead. And by the end of the day, you're going to realize, hey, oh, dang, I just sold $6,000, $7,000. It might not be that 10,000, but it'll be 6 or 7 in one day.
Got it.
So,
and how long was that for you in that season in Vegas?
To get to 10,000 a day?
No, to get to 10,000 in the first month.
Oh, to get to 10,000 in the first month. Month one.
Got it. So that was just like 30 days of just pounding the pavement, creating undeniable like asks to the people that could help you, making it a no-brainer for new people to come in. And that is what started essentially how we get to 20K and beyond, letting that referral boosting and word of mouth start to pick off.
Correct.
Right.
100%. Okay. That's all I
So
did.
we think about that next phase, then 20K to 30, 35. What did that consist of in successfully passing through that stage? Because we don't want to like hang there and do what some people do where they're stuck in that space for 3, 4, 5, 6 months or years at a time. What were the 2 to 3 things that allowed you to blast through that with momentum?
Number one was really making sure, going back to the first point, that we had the patients coming back. No patient leaves any office that we have without a specific game plan and a follow-up appointment. Oh, I'll call you later. I don't know my schedule. No, I don't care. I'm going to schedule you, and then you can call me later when you look at your schedule and see that things are conflicting. You get an appointment when you leave, period. I do not care if it's the eclipse and you got to go out dance naked looking at it. You will get booked, and then I will move your appointment if you need to.
How do you
100%.
navigate that? Like that, because I know
Okay, give
a
me an
lot of the
objection.
doctors and physicians, it's a hard feeling
Okay,
to get into that space. How do you do that?
give me an objection. Give me an objection of why wouldn't you book it? It's like, hey, Miss,
Someone drop an objection in the chat. Give me a reason
give
you
me
recently
something. Give
heard.
me
Yeah,
something.
for is it time? Is it, I gotta check my schedule? Is it we have a trip? Just the first one I see is what we'll go with. Someone drop it in the chat. Give me one, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Nobody's got any objections. You guys all
I think I
booked
see people like
everybody.
reaching for their phone. Just come off mute. Okay, not sure of my work schedule.
No,
Okay.
I'm like Dr. Alex. I do the same thing. I don't let them leave without you're going to schedule an appointment, even for my primary care. I don't even care if you say, "Oh, I have to go to work. I don't know what my schedule is." That's okay. We'll schedule and we'll cancel you if we need to.
Yep.
Mike, I love your question.
So Mike
I'm
says
not,
he's not sure of work schedule. How do you do that?
Mike, I totally understand. Let's do this. Let me get you down right now. The reason why is because we are extremely busy. You can see the people waiting in the lobby. I can't guarantee you I will get you back in. So let's get you down. When you get home, check your work schedule for me. If it changes later on and we have to move it, not a big deal, Mike. I just want to make sure you are taken care of. Does that sound fair?
And so that comes from a strong place of belief.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you don't believe in your business, if you don't believe in you sell, you can't. You're not going to be able to sell. Your conviction, your belief in what your service is and what you are providing has to outweigh their belief that your product is not the answer for them. Because there's always doubts. Hey, I'm spending $2,400 on this thing. Is it going to work? If you believe it's going to work and you show that, I mean, that vacuum that I sold was $5,000. And I sold it to every house I went into except for my dad's because my dad had one. But that being said, you have to believe in your service and have that conviction when they're walking out the door. And nobody is going to say that's not fair if you're trying to make sure that they are well taken care of and you have their best interest in mind, Mike. No matter what. They're not going to say, no, that doesn't sound fair. They're going to say, okay, sounds good. Let's just book me and then I will check my schedule.
Got it. So having consistent returns and like seeing every single one to the end, like meticulously, you're paying attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then having that belief where you can transfer that belief and you have to have it first because you can't get something that you can't have. What were the things that, is that like around where you all started to bring in other methods of advertising that didn't require more time, or what took you into the other things that took you into 30K land?
Right. So 2 and 3 really in the 20 and 30K land is obviously marketing. So marketing is going to help you. And the way we marketed actually all of our clinics at the beginning, and we've changed now, is Groupon. Now I know everybody's going to freak out. Everybody's going to freak out because they always say Groupon. Oh my God, I hate those people. Let me tell you that we have built an 8-figure business doing $26 million a year, essentially for the first 4 years of marketing. 70% of our income came from Groupon patients. Because Groupon patients are just like you and me. We just want a good deal every now and then. And if you come in and they come in and they're free, there's no marketing expense to a Groupon patient. They're essentially free. No ad spend, no management fees. And they walk in your door and you provide them extremely high customer service and you provide them with that deal stack that you're doing already and an offer so good they can't say no, you're going to convert at least 50 to 60% of those patients.
It's so good.
And when you convert 50 to 60% of those patients into a $2,400 package, those people, again, loyalty circle, they're going to tell somebody else that didn't pay for the Groupon. They're going to tell other people and bring all those other people in. So one of the things was Groupon and making deals that way. Don't always have to go that way now, though. You can go through Google marketing and Facebook marketing, both digital marketing. Now, there's going to be a difference between the two. Google, you're going to have to spend a little bit more per patient that walks in the door, but they're going to be higher quality because they are actually Googling the service that you're looking for. They are searching. Facebook, we're all just scrolling and we just click on the closest one. When it comes to your marketing, anybody that calls, texts, or responds to your marketing, you have 5 minutes to get back to them.
Say that again, bro.
When it comes to your marketing, anybody that responds, texts, calls you, you have 5 minutes to get back to them. Why do I say that? Harvard study, business, Harvard Review found that after 5 minutes, the chances of you getting in touch with a lead reaching out to your business drops by 93%. Because what has happened is that they have called you and about 3 other companies for their service that they want, and the first person that responds to them or gets a hold of them and books them wins. Now, there's going to be some people that look for 2 or 3 different consults. Most people just want their problem solved now. We are in the age of getting pizza within 6 minutes and being able to Amazon order even your groceries. So people want stuff and they want it now. So responding right away. If you can't afford to have a $20 employee, get a VA. My whole back end of probably 3 of my 5 major businesses are run by virtual VAs, virtual assistants from Colombia, Venezuela, the Philippines. And for $4 to $7, which everybody's going to freak out. Oh my God, you're ripping them off. Literally $4 to $7 in their country is they're living in
$1 million bucks. Yeah.
Well, they're living in the top 10% of they're just living life for $4 to $7, and they have no holidays. They have no nights and weekends. They don't complain about maternity and sick leave. They want to work and kick butt for you. So that's the second part of the 20 to 30.
We're getting into the next level of team. We're getting into the next level of team. I want to clarify, because you dropped a huge gem,
yes,
not just in marketing, but even the sources with Groupon.
Okay.
The biggest and most important thing, I mean, you know this because you're very intentional in not commoditizing Gensis,
right,
and not making it just some run-of-the-mill rinky-dink. I mean, dude, I was going through 4.6, 4.8, 4. Like these are stars for multiple locations. Some of them you might haven't even visited in the past 30 days. How are you all intentional about creating that value perception, right, and letting people know who you are, who you're not, when they're coming from different sources? Because I know Google, it might feel like an easier sale, but then how do you deal with people that may be coming from Groupon?
Exactly
or
the same.
that coming from Facebook. How do you what's your framework for that?
Exactly the same. I teach my staff, when you sell anybody, at the beginning, when you practice your scripts, when you practice in front of the mirror, when you practice in everything, close your eyes. The only bias we have, essentially, is our perception and what we see other people. When you close your eyes, you don't see what the hell the person's wearing. You don't see their shoes. You don't see their watches. You don't see their skin color. You don't see if their hair is done or not. You don't see... Shut your eyes and practice that way, and only listen. When you can't see what they're doing and react to their body language, then you have to, guess what? Listen to what they're saying. And obviously in a consultation, if you're going to sit there and have your eyes closed the whole time, it's going to be fucking weird. So don't do that. But when you're practicing, realize that, hey, if I shut up and I just listen to what this person is telling me, and you say, unpack that, or tell me more about that, they will tell you all their problems. Because you're a stranger and because you're a provider, they already trust you. So they're going to tell you all their problems. And listening as much as humanly possible is going to be really important for that. And Malachi, what you're talking about in terms of going back, and instead of the building the back end teams and how we do it, is making sure that once you take care of that person, ask for a referral, ask for other people, and have some sort of referral bonus. Hey, if you bring a patient in, if you bring another person in and they end up, if we could take care of them, I'll give you $100 off your next order. I'll give you $100 off your next month. I'll give you $50 off. Have some sort of retention program for those people to be affiliates of your business, because they might do it because they love you. Yes, but they'll really do it if it benefits them.
Yep.
In the end, realize that no matter who you are working with, whether it's your employees, whether it's your vendors, whether it's your patients, none of them work because of you. essentially. They work, they might after a while because they have loyalty and you've done things for them, but they work, they pay money, they show up for themselves. Period. Because they want a paycheck or they want a solution solved and everything. And it's a terrible realization because I had to go through it too as a business owner, but realize that everybody's in it for themselves. But if you could provide the opportunities for your staff, the opportunities for your patients to solve their problems, to achieve their dreams, then you're going to have them for life, especially in the medical field. That $20,000 to $30,000. So we were doing the outreach. Now we're starting to do some digital marketing, starting to do some Groupon. The second thing is adding a vertical for the services that you're doing now. Now, I don't know what you guys are doing service-wise, but if some of you can just like shove some services in the chat, I'll help you out with some verticals. We just looked for one, maybe two things that we could add on to either the packages or create a monthly maintenance program to increase the value of our services. And if you look at Ideal Image, Laser Away, all the big boys, Row, For Hims in the telemedicine world, the biggest thing they focus on is not new clients. New clients account for about 10 to 20% of the revenue of these businesses. Returning clients account for 80% of these businesses. Wow. So, Elaine, acne treatment. You're treating acne. What are some things afterwards that we could do to keep the acne away that we may not be doing right now? Maybe that is some skincare line that Elaine has that there's a lot of private label skincare lines that you can put your logo on. And they're going to be like, well, I can't get this anywhere else off of Amazon or off of like at Mac or whatever. I want to use Elaine's skincare line. So that's something like, hey, let's add on the skincare line this month. It's only $50 extra. And your cost is $9 to $12 per bottle. So doing verticals that way. PDO threads and chemical peels for Bridget. And I'm assuming with PDO threads, you might be doing some Botox and fillers and stuff like that, but you can utilize microneedling. I'm not sure if you do microneedling in that, which is, anybody can do. You don't have to be an injector to do microneedling, depending on the states, but most states can do microneedling unless you're doing deep. So microneedling can be a vertical. Yes, we do. Okay. So good. Aesthetics, microneedling. What else are you doing in terms of hormone replacement? Okay, that's India. So, Bridget, do you guys have packages for PDO threads, chemical peels, and like microneedling all in one? Like one whole package that is like a 6 or a 12-month package of treatments? That's the next step. With that 20.
So we don't have packages with the PDO threads
Perfect.
yet. We do have packages with chemical peels and microneedling.
Boom. That's a huge one. PDO threads. PDO threads you do in stages. So we do a 3-month, a 6-month, and a 12-month package of PDO threads. That is
nice.
a gold, silver, and platinum package. So you have them for a whole year, coming back, getting treatments done while they're there. Hey, have you seen this new machine that we got? Hey, have you heard about this product? You want the patients to come back as much as human possible. Alexis, this is what I love, medical weight loss and IV infusions. It's probably 60% of our businesses. Do you have a couple different things you could do here. Like B12 and lipoline shots. Give those out for free to people in their packages. So if you have a $3,500 package, hey, we're going to give you 12 free B12 shots. Normally it's going to be $800 for these. I'm going to give you these for free. But they have to come back and get it every single week. The more you get them to come back, the more they like you. Remember 3 times for the Botox study. So we try and compress that. How much can I touch this patient as much as off as I possibly can? The more they come back, the more they love you, the more they're going to sell. Alexis, you were going to say something.
Oh no, I was just listening to you. That I do that now.
Good.
They get 12 lipo injections on their 12-week weight loss.
Good. Do you have meal counseling and meals to sell them?
So I'm just getting ready to start doing that part. I was just giving them like a template.
Beautiful.
Like a AI kind of generated
Yep.
template, but now I'm gonna incorporate an app to where it's more specific and
Beautiful.
one-on-one.
Beautiful. And you're making sure you're charging for that and a little recurring billing on that. The next thing above that
Yeah.
could be a community. You know, hey, you're going to be put into this community, and in the community you could drop different things, not only the foods, not only the vitamins, but other things that could help them out as well. Hormone therapy is a big one with medical weight loss and IV therapy. So if you're not cross-selling your hormone therapy, because I know India does hormone therapy, if you guys aren't doing hormone therapy and weight loss, it's the same patients. Zero extra
Yeah,
ads.
I need to learn more about hormone. For some reason, it like freaks me out. So I need to learn more before I can get,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, it's
comfortable
okay.
with selling it.
Take some classes. There's a ton of great calculators out now that will calculate and tell you what to do based off of all the research studies and everything like that. So don't be afraid. Remember, and that's a big thing that we came from, and I'm sorry, Malachi, I'm just spewing
No,
shit
man,
here.
like this is exactly what this is for.
That's one of the big things that I was worried about when I first got out of medicine and I started to build my own business was, oh my God, I'm going to get sued. I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to take a pen from one of these people and they're going to report me, and the government's going to come crash in my door because I took a pen that was free, and we're all going to jail. We're all going to jail. We're all screwed, straight to jail. Look, in the medical field, I'm going to give you a phenomenal just piece of advice that somebody gave me, and it always makes me sleep better at night. If you want to know what you're going to go to jail for, go to the DOJ website, Department of Justice. They have a 99.9% conviction rate. The reason why is because if you do illegal stuff, they'll let you do illegal stuff for 5 to 10 years. They'll let you do it for 5 to 10 years, illegal stuff. And if you go on the DOJ website and read all of the medical cases of people who actually go to jail, you'll start to be dumbfounded because you will see that there is intent. Like, so Alexis and Mayonawe, I hope that's your name and I didn't just butcher the shit out of that. People will have to see that you are intentionally hurting people with your hormone therapy for 10 years before you even go to jail. And by then, we're all good people. We're all good providers. If we accidentally overdose one person, we're going to correct it right away. And we're going to learn for the next one. And so on and so forth. So there's never, ever going to be a time in what we do, unless you're intentionally trying to stab people in the eyes, doing aesthetics, or overdosing women, or, you know, trying to do sex changes on them when they don't want it, things like that. Unless you're intentionally hurting humans, there's no way you're going to go to jail or get in trouble. Trust me on that. Because we are all scared of that at the beginning. But it's really not the case. And I implore you to read those cases and just laugh at yourself because you're like, these people are effing crazy. This guy, you know, shaving off Medicare bills, you know, buying a Lamborghini for $20 million a year and posting it on a yacht. Like, those are the types of people that are getting in trouble by the DOJ. None of you will get in trouble by the DOJ or the DEA. Why? Because I know you're in rooms like this, and people who will get into rooms like this aren't doing illegal shit because they're out not listening to anybody, doing whatever the F they want. So remember that, like, you might be afraid, but everybody was afraid. You're probably afraid to go into med school. You're probably afraid to do your first, IV. You're probably afraid to inject your first person. You're probably afraid to start your business. And if you weren't, I mean, you crazy. I know you're all afraid. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to go back to before. But it shouldn't stop you from doing it. It's just one patient at a time. You'll get there. You'll know it. And there's a lot of other people. Remember, there are people way more successful than you are because they're too stupid to be afraid. I mean, just be the dumbest person in the room. I am too dumb to be afraid. Forget it. Let's just figure it out as we go, because that's all we're doing. Just figuring it out as we go. And, you know, Chris, weight loss program, good. 3D body scanners. If you don't have it, get a cheap InBody. You don't have to have a really nice one. You get a cheap one. It's like $157 a month to finance the dang thing. And again, it gets people to come in more. And while they're sitting on that InBody or, you know, that 3D scan, you have a chance to talk to them. They can't go anywhere while they're standing on those things. Talk to them about the new services, upgrades. LifeSum app. Oh yeah, LifeSum is free for weight loss and stuff like that. And again, my own way. You feel the same about hormones. Just do it, girl. Just do it. Take a couple courses. start to practice on some people. Again, you can't hurt anybody. So if you think you're going to dose them too high, cut the dose in half. You can always go up. And guess what? You can always go down. The hormone calculators. It is called BioPellet. BioPellet. It's one word. It's like $175 a month or something like that. But you get one pellet patient in it, and it will give you, you paid for it for like 3 months, because a pellet patient is like $250 to $500 females and $750 to $900 for males.
Yeah. So Alex, I mean, a lot of what you all did when you brought in these other adjacent services was just already capitalizing on the volume of people coming into the locations. You just helped them create more reasons to come back.
100%.
And you chose services that you felt were relevant to their journey, their pathway, that you saw trends in. Like, how do you determine? Because a lot of our people are in that IV weight loss, red light therapy.
Okay.
I think the big challenge is, though, and the mistake many people make, is they bring on too much too quickly.
I agree. And I wouldn't that's why I said like 1, maybe 2 services in the vertical. We now in Gensis only do 4 verticals, 3 of them very heavy: weight loss, hormone therapy, men's and women's health. So ED and incontinence and stuff like that. And a little bit of aesthetics with aesthetic machinery. We used to do 30 services. 30 different services. And when we had 30 different services, we used to do laser hair removal and skin resurfacing and this and that. When we did that, we had to have 30 different services marketed to a degree. 30 different services web page builds, 30 different services landing page builds, 30 different services MA, front desk, schedulers, providers, training on them. We moved slower and slower and slower. So we cut it down to those lean, mean, fighting machine services that you really want to do. And instead of adding a vertical, add longer packages. Remember, we don't cure anything. So if you'll have a month-to-month package, you better have a 3-month and a 6-month and a 12-month package. Because guess what? 1 out of the 10 people are going to pay upfront for 12 months of treatment. And that's just going to give you extra cash flow to put into marketing to get more people. So realize, again, we can't cure anything. It's maintenance. Hey, Alexis, I know you're losing weight, but guess what? Afterwards, when he gets you to your goal weight, what are you going to do? What's your plan? Don't worry. We'll be there to help you. Let's get you set up on our maintenance plan. You're going to come in. We'll give you a low dose of semaglutide. Whether you believe in that or not, I don't really care. But low dose of semaglutide, or you're going to stay on this diet plan, or we're going to continue IV monthly with you, or we're going to continue your B12 and vitamin shots. Whatever you want to do, get a maintenance package in there that is at least 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months long. That way you're always keeping people coming back and keeping people in your system. And then just do it better and better and better and better. And you're going to get more and more and more people. You don't need to add 50 different services to make more money. You just got to add more people in this single service that you have. And there's plenty of people out there. Unless you live in a town of 2,000 people, there's plenty of people out there that people have friends and friends of friends and friends of friends and friends and friends and friends of friends that they're going to bring to your business.
Yeah. Especially when you take control to create incentives and a reason for those people to do things.
Absolutely. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the Spinoso podcast. If you found this valuable, please like, share, and subscribe. Would love to have your support as much as possible. I don't run ads on this show or for this show, but I would love if you could get the word of mouth out there, as I really appreciate it. And as always, I value your feedback. Message me, tell me how I can do better, or tell me some questions that you would like answered on the Spinoso podcast, and I will get to them. Thank you for listening.